So see, lots of stuff you're going to learn if you keep watching these videos. To put the paper on there on the back side, I'll have to use a stapler, and when I went to the store, I got a little stapler, a little hand stapler. This is considered light duty, and I thought, you know, it comes, well, it doesn't come with it. You have to buy the staples separate. JT21s. JT21s. I used to have a little stapler like this years ago when I first started out in construction, and I remember JT21. They still have them. These are 1/4 inch staples. They had 5/16 too, but I think 1/4 inch is plenty because it'll be easier. I don't want the staples to stick out. I want them to go all the way in, and that'll be fine. So I got that. I got all kinds of joist hangers. I got joist hanger side clips like this. I might have to use some of those. That's a bigger clip for a 2x6, and this is just a small clip. I thought maybe some places I can use an attachment like this, and that's why I got that metal track too. And I'll show you that after a bit, because I got an idea on how to save money instead of using these clips. These clips were like 59 cents each, and I might have to use a ton of them, and I might end up using something different than that, or something alongside that. You'll just have to keep watching, and I'll show you along the way. Okay, so this is where I'm going to start first. This whole little area I've got to rebuild and put that OSB plywood back in here too, and get ready to install these steps finally. Well, it's a good thing I looked at my camera. Every once in a while you have to check and look and see if your SIM card is getting close to being done, or your battery. And I just happened to look in the screen and saw something flashing, and I was pretty sure it wasn't the battery. It was a SIM card, so I had to run up. I always make sure I have a few extra SIM cards ready to go. When they get full, I upload them to my outside drive on my computer so I can do some more. Okay, I got to cut these nails off. Okay. And when you're working, I gotta just kind of look at this whole thing as little mini projects. Like I'm working in this area right in here, and this is a little project. I know I'm going to have to go up and down these stairs to go out into the back yard to cut the plywood because I don't have enough room down here. See there's not enough room to put a 4x8 sheet down here and to cut it and all that kind of stuff. So every time I have to go down, I'm going to have the ladder over there. Then if the ladder is in my way, I'll have to move it back and forth, down the stairs, up the stairs, down the stairs, up the stairs. But I already know all that. I already know I have to do all that, right? So I'm going to be okay with it, and I'm going to take one step at a time, okay? So now I'm ready to start taking some measurements and going down and cutting me a little piece of OSB plywood for the back side of here. And so I'll measure this so I know exactly what to cut for that, and I'll just cut that long strip out of one sheet first and figure out what to do. And see, there's an angle up there, so I know at one end I'm going to measure from here up to the point, and then I can see where this was. Remember, I cut this piece off with my sheetrock knife because it wasn't that strong, because it was all dry rotted. I got it all painted. It's nice and stiff now. I got that fungus paint on there. And so I just measure from this point on up, straight up. Run my tape measure straight up from this point up to there. And so I know how, when I know how wide it is, then I'll measure from the ground up to that point, the ground up to that point, and then I'll snap a chalk line or use a straight edge or something and connect those points. And that's how I'll get that piece. I'll cut that. Oh, sorry about that. I can't do that either. I can't do that because these 2x8s have to go up there first. See, remember this OSB goes up just to the bottom side of that, okay? Yeah, I gotta think about that. So I'll still measure the width of here and do it on a full 4x8 sheet and go all the way up, and then I'll have that little piece for scrap, and I could use a little scrap over there to make my cuts and all that. Okay, I got a game plan. Okay, so I've measured, made a determination. I'm going to go over 16¼ That's going to give me enough room. And then I measured from the top down 3 inches. 3 inches over here for the 2 top plates. Put a mark up there. And I measured from the ground up 68 inches. And over here was 56. So right up 68, 56, 16¼ with an arrow facing that way. And now if I forget those measurements, I can just look on that and figure it out from there. And that 68 is not exact, because once I put this up here, there's staples up here that I chopped off and stuff, so it could go down just a little bit. But as long as I know what that is on my strip, that's the first thing. Then I can figure out. I can cut a little piece for up in there and come back to that. Okay. And I set my ladder up. I set it up. I got it on my some 2x6s scraps, and I'm just going to go up and back and forth right there, and go downstairs to get that plywood. As a matter of fact, let's go on up there. I'm going to be careful with this. Make sure my 2x6s are solid, because I got 3 of them down there. Not the best way to have the ladder at that angle, but hey, it's going to work. And then I'll set up down here. I've already determined I'm going to put my plywood right in here. And see, I got all my wood stacked up over here. Here's that track. I'm going to use that for little brackets, and I'll show you that later. And here's my OSB plywood, 4x8 sheets. I got three sheets of that. That's 1/2 inch, and then this is for the floor. Okay, that's 3/4 inch. They also have this 5/8. You have to be real careful at the store when you're wanting to get stuff, because sometimes, you know, measurements are a little bit shy of 3/4, a little shy of 1/2 inch. First the guy wanted to give me some like this that was only 5/8. He goes, well, that's all we got. And I was not going to get 5/8. We looked around, and sure enough they had this, but it has a tongue and groove on it. This is the tongue side, and the bottom, but you can't really see it, but there's a groove in there that accepts the tongue. And so I'm going to have to chop that off. But that's okay. I can do that for when I get to the flooring. Okay, so 16¼ I'll get set up, and I'll get ready to cut that first sheet. A word to the wise: when you stack your OSB plywood, make sure it's in an area that is ventilated. I took this sand out initially in between the tiles when I was demoing, and I put all that sand over here, and I just piled it here. And when I got the plywood, I set the plywood on, and I just kind of pushed it down, and some of the sand was underneath here. See how it's moist right there? Well, it got on the edge of this OSB, and this OSB is just wafer board. It's wafer board, like this kind of stuff, all mashed together. Layers and layers and layers and layers of this. And what, you know, it's only been sitting there for a week or so. It's sprinkled like one time, and the edge of this plywood, let's see if I can do it. See right here, from about here to about there. See how it's already expanded? That's what happens when it gets wet. That's probably 5/8 of an inch thick right there now, maybe even more than that, because it's gotten some water in there, and it just soaks it up like a sponge. Look at that, isn't that amazing? So I've got to, when I cut this plywood, I'm going to cut it from that side. I'm going to try not to use that, and so I just spent the last 15 minutes. I pulled this plywood out, stacked it over here, pushed all the sand up, so I'm just on the cardboard, swept this, and now I'm good. I should have done that initially, but I thought, I'm going to be using that plywood pretty soon. It's only going to be, you know, sitting here a week and a half. Well, a week and a half turns into a little bit longer. You get guests coming, you get something else coming, and something else that you didn't know about, and, you know, just make sure, even if it's in the summer, that your sprinklers aren't hitting this or anything like that. You might want to stack it in your garage, the side of your house, on top of some concrete edging, not on the dirt. You know, I could have stacked that somewhere else. I could have just stacked it right here and leaned it up against that and left it sitting for a week, but I didn't. Okay, so I just wanted to let you be aware. That's why that whole area over there was saturated, sitting there getting wet for years. Now you can see what happens. It gets wet there, and it just travels, and it gets a little bit wet here, and this gets wet, and it travels some more and some more and some more. It even can go uphill, it can go horizontal, vertical, any which way it can go. When it gets moist, it just goes. Okay, just wanted to point that out to you to be aware of it.